Hi everyone, and welcome to the second season of Agile Toolkit episodes. And in this season, we will work on a project for school enrollment. And with me today, and hopefully every week, I'm gonna have Brad, who have been working on this application called Igniter. And Brad, hi and welcome. Could you please explain what is this application about and what does it do?
Sure. Hi, Romans and everybody. This application, the purpose of it is to allow private school to manage enrollments for classes. So they will be able to enroll students into specific classes, edit their enrollments, and delete their enrollments. Ultimately, it will have some reporting and invoicing capability. I think we'll get to that probably later on down the road, but it's generally its purpose is to manage enrollments.
Could you explain a bit more what exactly is enrollment? So I know this is a private school, which means students need to pay in order to receive the lessons. Is there like a sign up for courses? And
they cannot, with this particular application, a student cannot sign up publicly. This particular application is only for internal use for the school itself to manage the registration. So, for instance, if someone called in via the telephone and said, I'd like to register for a class, they could actually, using the screen that you're showing right now, enroll them, select the company that they work for, the student name, and the billing contact and so forth, and they would actually be registered into the system so that the school can actually keep track of their registrations.
okay, so why do we need a company for every student?
Because this particular school only trains employees from companies.
So is it okay if I add someone, John Smith?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, and save. Okay, now that's been stored. And do I need to refresh this page?
Refresh.
Yes, you do.
So I go to register again. Add enrollment. No, which? Yeah, I think. Oh, that's my John. Okay, new student, billing contact.
The billing contact is used so that we can send an invoice.
Yeah, yeah, and you have a lot of professional classes in here. Here a pre-populated database.
Yep.
So I can.
Yep. The one, if you choose, not all of them will have dates because there isn't live data yet. One that has a date is probably the very first class on there. If you go back up to the class name and drop it down.
Okay, Acrobat X Pro.
I think that has a date. Maybe not. Try the one below that, maybe.
Okay, trying all of them.
Start typing in HTML in the drop down. Should be new features, HTML5.
Okay.
I think that has a date. Oh, jeez.
Microsoft Excel 2003 level 1.
Okay, Excel, Microsoft Excel.
For power user.
2003 level 1.
Okay.
Nope.
Hey, we got that. All right. So and that's some ID invoice. And if they're paying over the phone, I can select paid. Yeah, and we'll save that. And the student is done.
The student is enrolled into the Excel 2003 level 1 class.
Okay,
correct.
so I'll take a look at the databases here. Meanwhile, could you tell me what's wrong with CodeIgniter? Why not continue using that for the application? What kind of difficulties you experienced so far?
Yeah, sure. CodeIgniter, we're using CodeIgniter with a third-party tool called Grocery CRUD, which allows you to create, edit, and delete options for the enrollment and some of the other pieces of the application. What we've found, or I guess ran into, was that Grocery CRUD is great. It does a lot of nice little things, but we did run into some limitations with it. Specifically, trying to manipulate some of the data that is stored in the database and accessed through Grocery CRUD. And then the other piece, what made us look at Agile Toolkit, is the integration of the UI with the actual with PHP. So we love that aspect of Agile Toolkit, and CodeIgniter doesn't have that.
Okay, so but obviously the way I see it, you already have a bunch of screens here, and if we just change your application, start working on a new one in Agile Toolkit, that means broken pages, and we don't want that. So we need to somehow combine the existing functionality with the new functionality we're bringing in with Agile Toolkit, and make both systems work simultaneously, side by side, until we complete the transition to Agile Toolkit. So I think that's a really popular challenge, and many other developers might have the same thing. Let's see how we can get Agile Toolkit running inside CodeIgniter. So what I was showing you is located on the server, because we had some trouble previously with the local installation. That's our local installation of CodeIgniter here. And I think I managed to get not the students, but companies. Yeah, so I managed to get the companies here. Let's try to get a separate page which would be managed by the CodeIgniter. So all access control will be done by CodeIgniter, but inside the page, we would like to see Agile Toolkit completely from the top to bottom. Okay. And I'm going to show you what I did just a couple of minutes ago. And if you know CodeIgniter, you would know what I'm doing, but if you don't know, then don't worry about that. So I have created a new controller in CodeIgniter called test, and it's pretty much okay. Let me clean this all out. I don't think I'll need that, because I simply want to. Oh, I need to do the login as well. So we're making sure the user is logged in. We will output an empty view, so no output at all. We don't want any template work from CodeIgniter. And we're using authentication library here. So it might not be the best practice for CodeIgniter, but I don't want to look too deep inside that. And we should see our test page. Company now, test. Okay, and it says 1, 2, 3. So now, because Agile Toolkit essentially is not going to be talking with CodeIgniter, we will need to get a string of HTML out of Agile Toolkit and insert it inside here. So, okay, let's see what we can do with Agile Toolkit. First thing, as usual, let's download it and drop it inside the folder. And we have a new release just been done recently of Agile Toolkit. Okay, so that's our CodeIgniter folder in here, and just download it. That's the CodeIgniter zip. So it downloads zips on the Mac, and unpacks it, and this is the folder we're interested in. So if the rest is simply a sample application, if you want to know the very basics how Agile Toolkit is working, there is another tutorial which you can find at agiletooolkit.org/tutorial. So in here, I'm just going to grab this folder and drop it inside here. So the whole idea of Agile Toolkit is that it's really a simple drop-in interface. You don't need to configure things. They just work out of the box. And let's see if we could actually manage to do something in here. Okay, so I'll move it here because we'd like the loader from CodeIgniter to load first. And obviously it does some prepending there. I'm not sure what exactly. Next, let's try to create API. It's as simple as this. and it's nice if I give some sort of handle there, which is going to be like realm. Okay, let's see if we're still good. Yeah, we're good. The next thing, API, let's just try that. Okay, good. So we have Agile Toolkit functioning. You see it produced some dynamic content, but it didn't do well with the prefixes there, which is a due to the fact because we're using the rewriting and it thinks we are in a subdirectory. To fix that, we'll need to create a config.php file, which is a default configuration file for Agile Toolkit, and define config for base. What's the base part? Oh yes, and I need to specify the ATK folder. Right, let's also disable the htaccess model write because it's just screwing us up. Okay, there we go. So right, that's Agile Toolkit running inside the coordinator.
Great. So all you've done, just to recap, is pulling the ATK4 directory from Agile Toolkit.
Yeah.
Loaded the loader and started coding.
Okay, and in this case, I can add a button similarly. Okay, it requires add UI support, and now I have nice looking button. Right, and maybe I actually can sneak the header in here. Okay, I don't want to do that.
Okay.
Just a quick test. Yeah. All right. So let's see if we can connect to the proper database now. We will need to define the connection string as well, the DSN. By the way, guys, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. I might be skipping a lot of details here, but if you have any questions, I'll answer them. Okay, so because this is API web, by default it doesn't. You saw it doesn't load the GUI. It doesn't connect to the database by default. I would need to do it manually. Okay, let's see if I had a database connection. Looks like it's fine. Button API and so that's the only thing in terms of UI I would need to have the CRUD for the companies. But the model is not defined. So it tells us in which folders it attempted to load my company. So I'm going to create the folder just like that and put the model there. Yeah, so we have, this is the standard folders of Coordinator. And now I'm creating the lib, which is a standard for Agile Toolkit. If you're already using lib for something else, you could redefine that. Agile Toolkit is really flexible about where it locates its own stuff. Model. Okay. And here I need to define a class model company. It's a relational table, so I'm using the model table as a processor. public. Now I'm going to look at the definition of this. So I'm dealing with a company, and we have three fields: company name, ID, and easy enough. So ID is defined automatically. I can change the ID to a different field, but ID field needs to be in all the tables. The name by default, it relies that the name of the record is called name, but it's different in our case, called company name. So I need to change that. Public title field company name. So that means if any other table references company, then instead of using name, it would use a company name field to represent the decode the relationship. Every time I create any new class, I need to redefine init, and well, I don't need to redefine init, but if I'm redefining, I'm calling parent, and I'm not using controllers. Everything is done inside init. The reason is I can reference things like API. So remember, the API we created just over here. If I would need to access anything from here, it's always available one property away. Let's add field company name, and another field is sales rep ID. I'll just add for now as a field. Okay, let's go back here, and we have our CRUD. Nice. Can I edit things? Nope. Okay. One other thing we could do is, instead of web, we could also use the front end. I just want to go.
We can use
manage
front end
pages,
now
yeah.
because
if
we're
we want to have multiple pages routed through this. And we're pretty much just going back to the original installation. I can show you how the original installation works with Agile Toolkit. Okay, so that's the default index PHP. So I'm gonna put that inside my company PHP in here, and then I don't need anything else. So we'll clean that out. Okay, it's gone now. Now I need to define the front-end class, which again, it was in that package. Maybe you know what? I'll actually just copy it. So inside lib here, I'll take it from Agile Toolkit 4, which is a part of installation. It would have worked if we just moved it here. And we also need to create a page. Okay, so we need a folder called page. Inside there, too many files. And I'll explain what it means in a moment. Okay, file front end. In the front end class, I need to do the connection to the database, which is already here. I just need to uncomment it. Right, so we're back to this thing. There's still something wrong. I'll move just index aside and put company inside the index place. Okay, and page. Page index. I messed too much. I messed around with different things. Okay, it finally works properly with adding, deleting things. Nice. Phew. Oh, sorry about the roundabout. I'll explain what it does here right now. So first of all, I don't have htaccess file anymore. I got rid of that. So this file opens first. It creates our application and launches main. Because it's a front-end application, we need to define that class that goes, and it extends API frontend. This is just some compatibilities things, and then we include some add-ons in there, load some things, define basic menu, so we could have some pages here which I haven't copied yet. And but more importantly, when this thing opens up, it starts routing, and the index.php would end up on this page. So, and on this page we're using the view which is called CRUD, and we associate it with the model for the company. Now let's so we have that, but we have a sales rep ID. Let's also bring another model in for the sales rep and see if we could show that properly as well. Okay, it doesn't really matter how I call the classes. I'm just gonna copy the same. Oops, no, not that, but I'll take model company and copy inside this class. I'll change sales rep. What does it have for name? Just have name, so we don't need to change that. Okay, and now back to the company. Instead of just adding field like that, we should create a relation by calling has many sales rep. It has, oh sorry, has one. So a company has one sales rep, and I think we need to define the way how ID is generated, because by default it will attempt to use underscore in there. Table. Okay, yeah, salesperson. Yeah, so by default it uses salesperson underscore ID. If it's not the case, we need to specify it with a second parameter. Sales. So what do we have inside company? Sales rep ID. Maybe third. Oops, no, that's wrong. Sorry, wrong file. Amending wrong file. Okay, so now we have the field here, but instead of being regular field, it now understands it as a relation between two tables. So I can actually pick the salesperson.
Awesome.
Also, let me go back to the front end. So I'm going to close a bit for and create a few more menu items. So I have index for now, which is going to be welcome. Let me add a sales rep table. How exactly do we want to edit these guys? Do we want them on a separate page, or do we want them editable through some button of some sort? Salespeople, these guys.
The menu items? Yeah, we would want them
one thing is we
editable
could put a note
on a
here.
different page.
So I click that, and I see the CRUD a similar way, which is going to be like a boring way. But we can also let's add a button here. If I click that button, a new window is coming up, and I add it inside there. That'll be more challenging.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going back to the index page, this one. And first of all, I'll create a subpage. And the way how pages and subpages work, again, I'm skipping a lot of steps here, but the class page, if you look in here, all HTML in this window is produced by the application, but inside the content, so in the middle, the output is produced by the page, which inserted inside the API by default. And then when I add CRUD, it's being inserted inside the page here, and it can add additional elements inside there, so that there's a whole 3 in there. If I, instead of using the init method, if I call it main page, if I call the method like this, it will allow me to create additional pages. Let's just add page test, and I'm gonna add lorem ipsum on that page. So if I try to open the subpage test, and because this is an index page, then just the regular page test would meet this requirement, then it will go in here. So I want to do a CRUD just like that, but instead of using company, I will use a sales rep. Okay, so I'm adding sales people here. And now if I go back, we wanted it to be actually open in the window, but you know, we have header and footer here. So what do? And the thing is, the Agile Toolkit automatically understands if we should include header and footer or not. So I'm putting the CRUD now, so that's a view. I'm putting that inside the variable. I set the model to the company, but then I can do other things. So if CRUD works as a grid or as a form, so when I click on edit, the CRUD works as a form. Then, if it's in a grid mode, I could do grid button. Let's call it test for now. Okay, so if I could say if it's clicked, then we would open the test page. This IP first needs to be sales people. Okay, so if I click that now, it opens this is the second page, test PHP. I see what's the problem. Prefix. Okay, that should do it. Right, so when I click that, it opens up the salespeople, and this is the CRUD from the second page, and I think it should be pretty functional. Yeah, so I could actually do things with it. Oh, that's my browser bug. I'm using a WebKit, which has some bugs in it. So I'll take Chrome, which is more stable. Okay, so if I go test, edit this one, and save, it automatically updates. It doesn't matter that it's what actually opened inside the window. It still works consistently. If I delete this dude here, it's reloading properly, and I can close that anytime, open over here, and it has updated values inside there. So it didn't do any page reloads, but from the components, so we're just using 2 CRUDs now and a frame. So from those components, we were able to construct already a pretty impressive UI.
Sure. Romans, I've got a question for you.
Yeah.
And it may not be something we cover in this tutorial, but when you click the Add button, when you go back there,
Yeah.
click Add button. Is there a possibility to add a link somewhere in here that would click a pop-up page that would allow you to add a new sales rep right from here?
It is possible, yeah. And again, there are many different ways. And one of the best ways probably would be to use. Let me demonstrate that on the other project. Okay, so that's a separate application here, and this field is being developed as an add-on. So it's a regular form, and I'm just adding that field here. And as you can see, first of all, it's autocomplete field. So if I type, come on. Okay, it doesn't want to autocomplete. But if I click this one over here, it allows me to add a new record. And then that's basically how
I see. Okay.
it works. That's one way. Let's look at some other ways. A bit simple without add-ons, because we could simply add a button maybe over here. Let's see what we can do. So the form here is being produced by a CRUD, and where is the page? We have control over CRUD. So if it's in if it renders a grid, then this loop is being executed. Otherwise, if it's not dealing with grid, it's dealing the form. So let's do add a test button. Now we have this test button over here, but it's not good. It needs to be in here somewhere. So we somehow need to put it at the back of that element. And this element is also an object of Agile Toolkit. So it's a field which we can retrieve. Sales, I think, like that. Let me just do destroy, so I'll see if it actually works. Yeah, so if I call destroy on any view in Agile Toolkit, it's simply being removed from the render tree and it will not appear. I don't want to destroy it, I want to add the button inside it. I'm gonna call it test. And it's over here, yeah, so a bit of styling thing, but it's there. Now we need to do something on the button click. And this is our chains coming in. So I would say click. We will need to open a new window. Sorry. Do we need to show a form in that window? Okay, so instead of using the test page, I'm going to call it somewhat differently. Add new sales rep. And this new rep. Okay, if I click that now, it tries to open a new window called new rep. That's good. Now, very similar syntax to this one, but instead of CRUD, I'm going to be using form, and I still link it with the same model. So it now asks me for the name. The OK button is missing, so we might either add it like this over here, or instead of frame URL, we can actually use dialog. And the only difference there, the dialog contains OK button. Okay, I need to go back to. So if I open it as a dialog, there is OK button. Say John, If I click
Okay.
OK, nothing happens because the form submission is not handled yet. So I need to do something about that. Form, if form, okay, so that will put a record inside the database. It will automatically figure out in which table to put because of the model. And the next thing we need to do, GS. We'll close the dialog. Let's form. Okay, add test John and done. The problem is it will not appear here until I refresh it. So that's not ideal.
Right.
Let's see what we can do about that. And now is when all sorts of JavaScript tricks come into play. We will reload the form. Okay, I know that works well. So if I add someone here,
Okay.
click reload, and yeah, they are here.
There they are.
There is also a way how to automatically select the thing after it's being reloaded, but I wouldn't want to do that right now.
Yeah, that's okay.
It supports callbacks. What I wanted to say is, if you remember, I was showing you the drop-down field with basically with ability to select the thing.
Mm-hmm.
So both things are automatically implemented in there. So when you click on that plus thing and you add a new element and you click OK, it will automatically fill it in inside the field. So if we're using that add-on, and we'll probably get to it later on, it's still incomplete as an add-on. So it's not. I wouldn't want to show it to you because it's still beat the quality of that add-on. And but it does these things automatically.
Okay.
And then that's what we can do here. Okay, let's go back and see what next we can do. Any ideas on what we should work on next? Added salespeople.
So we've done companies.
Yeah, we're on companies. Let's go with more complex tables here.
Yeah, let's take a look at the class schedule might be one thing, and the maybe we want or students potentially. We can add students.
Okay, let's see what we have in a student. So we have company. We don't have billing contact yet.
Yes, that's true.
Let's do the billing contact first.
Yep.
Or is it the sales rep?
Yeah, billing contact would be good.
The models ourselves. So let's go with billing contact.
Okay.
Which is this table over here, right?
Yep.
Okay. So company ID, And let's quickly add a page for managing the billing. Should we also add this button? I'll add this button. Or is the billing contact is contextual to the company? The company would have a billing contact.
No, it's separate.
Okay. Okay, so I'll add a new page called billing here. And I need to define a table property. Okay, so here they are. Too many to fit on the page. Let's add a paginator and also maybe too many fields.
Yeah, we probably don't need the company ID to show.
Yeah, we just need really only a few. Okay. So again, if we want to do something with the elements of CRUD, we will need to put it inside a variable so we can access it. There are two ways how we can customize, let's say, CRUD. And the first one is if we create a custom class for a form and then or a grid and use that inside the CRUD. But the second one, if we use the existing, we simply tweak it a little bit, like I'm doing here. And grid. So I'm going to be adding pagination here. The pagination is implemented as a controller itself, so it works properly with any type of lister or a CRUD, and as you can see, it also uses Ajax to reload the grid, so it works seamlessly.
Okay.
The next thing is the reduction of the fields here. For that, when we're setting the model for the CRUD, we can edit. Edit file looks good, so we don't want to change edit. Okay, let's decide which fields we need to go and also in which sequence. So the first would be probably billing contact. That's the first field. Address, we don't really need address. Email looks important. Okay, I'm still in my bad browser. Okay, now we have only two fields, but unfortunately, if I click edit, I also see two fields in here because that's how the second argument affects it. But if I specify it as a third argument, it will only affect the grid and not the form. So it's different in the grid, and the form looks like this.
Oh, that's great.
So that's what we needed. Also, you might say those headers, they don't look really nice and billing contact. Let's put something more meaningful in there. So we'll need to go back to the model. Each field is created as an object on its own. Billing contact, which means we could customize each field individually, such as set caption for it. Okay, now if I'm opening, you see the label is affected in here, but also if I edit, the contact name is reflected in the fields as well.
Got it.
What else I could do here? We could make it a mandatory field. So it wouldn't affect the grid in any way. But when I'm editing, or maybe let's say if I'm adding a new one, it will do the verification of the field. So the contact name at least is required. For the company ID, we do have companies, so we can simply build a relationship between them in a very similar way. So instead of add field, I'm going to be using has1 company. Okay. I can pick a company from the list. I can also add this company to the grid. Yeah, well, basically what happens is when I call has1, it creates two fields instead of one. The first field is the ID field, which contains the number, but the second field contains a SQL expression which will select the actual company name from the related table. And I can probably illustrate that if I turn on the debug mode. What's here? Grid. Okay, so that what happens now is the query is being outputted before it actually being executed. So right now it selects billing contact, billing email ID, and company ID from billing. And this is my pagination limit. So if I go to the next page, it would affect the way how it limits. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to add, and another important thing is that because it only asked for two fields, it will only select two fields. It will not select the fields which I don't want to see. There might be some fields with a lot of data in them. Right, just need to remember how to do one thing. What field display? Okay, so when I call has1 company in this in this scenario, it will actually produce two fields, as I mentioned.
Okay.
The second field is being generated because it doesn't want to clash with any additional fields. It will attempt to remove the ID. So if the relational field will be called company ID, then the other field will be called company. But because it's called company ID without the underscore, it will not be able to remove that ID, and it will call field as a company ID underscore 2. But it's not a very reliable thing to do, to rely on that. I'll try it. Company ID. I'll try if that field exists there. Yeah, okay. So as you see, it now shows me the company. Yeah, so it's coming from a different table. Inside the query, you see that this portion is responsible for generating it. It's not creating two selects. It's still the one select which is being sent to MySQL. It just gets my company name from a company, and it does join. Yeah, so also not the join, but the condition with the parent table, and there he use underscore 2. But if I want to name it properly, I could use a parameter in here. Company. I think like that. Okay, it's gone because I didn't specify it properly in here, and it should be back now. So now it's company. The field is called company, but the label is still a bit off. So I'll fix the label. Meanwhile, let's think about what else we could next we could do.
Okay, I have a quick question for you. It's probably a basic Agile Toolkit question, but when you're creating new pages, when you go back to where you're actually creating the pages, you had set the init value differently.
Mm-hmm.
Is there ever a case where your pages are not inside the init value, where you actually define the page class as a different, the actual name of the page?
That's actually the most common way how we create a new page. Okay, let's do that. And also I'll show you another curious thing. So for now we have been working with an index page, which is index, and we build a couple of sub pages, so there is linking happening between the main page and all those sub pages. But what I managed to do is all the linkings are relative. So for example, if I say we need to open a dialog and need to use the URL, I'm saying this new URL is a sub page of our current page.
Okay.
Which means if I'm gonna rename that index page into company, so I'm gonna call this a company, and also okay, I'll close this. Okay, so this is gone. How do I address that? Now it's on a company page, and all the links between those different components which we created, they still work properly. So
okay.
If this is a really significant part of the portability. So if I move a piece of code from one place into another, it still retains all the internal linking between different parts of the page.
Okay. So common practice would be to had the way we did this is because they were all kind of interconnected, linked. But if we were common practice, you're saying would be to actually create a page that extends the page class for each individual page.
Yes. So for example, if we're going to be adding students now, that would be a separate file.
Okay.
But if some things are related together, such as sub page, they can be inside a same file. It's up to you, but you don't have to. So for example, this page could be put under, if you create page company test, so you could sit in there, and then it would respond to the company/test URL.
Okay.
So what do I have here? Just gonna clean up a little bit and add new inside here. Add salespeople, shouldn't be test. Should be called sales rep. Okay, and it still works. So there is a way how we can route patterns and rewrite routes, but in its initial form, Agile Toolkit is really straightforward. So you just name methods and classes as appear.
Okay.
And if we want to create a subpage of a subpage, sales rep, text like that, it's also possible.
Okay.
Our goal here was to create, what was it? The students.
Yep.
And let's create the students. Okay, student is a complicated class, lots of different things in there. Alright, I'll probably take some other class, just put inside here, model student. In database, how is it called? Student.
Romans, I'm not sure if you got this question, but Bob had a question on here. He says, if you specify the ID field in the model, will it then hide the form?
if I specify the default in the model, then I'm not sure.
Okay.
Well, the basic rule, if the field is defined as a system, so you saw how we changed the caption, for example, in here. There is also a caption called system, so we can set flag on the field, and this will hide it from the editing field. Again, by default, ID by default has a system. System flag set, so by default it doesn't show the IDs. And if I define it as a has one relationship, then it also sets it as the system.
Okay.
And I don't know if that answers Bob's question. All right, let's see. So we have company. Let's create a new page called students. And page. I'll just use a little tiny bit of this page in here. Okay. Page students. Okay, we have our students now. So for now, it just it treats all the fields as text. Steve Ballmer.
Yep.
Okay. Company ID. We could probably just start by linking linking these two. Okay, so I'm replacing company ID with a relationship over here, and billing. We'll do the same. Nice. So I have two drop downs in here. Oops. Billing ID doesn't have a name properly defined. Let's see what's wrong with that. So it doesn't have a name field. It has a billing contact. We need to define it as a title field.
Sure.
Title field. Okay, now that is used when we reference.
Okay.
But by the way, the title field could be also a calculated field. So for now, I'm just working with the physical fields, but it can also be consist of multiple fields or some sort of expression. We'll get into expressions soon when we're going to calculate the incomes and other things. Right, so we have our students here. Okay, we can add new student. Should we add someone? Okay. Okay, let's see what else we could do from here. Okay, let's look at the last thing. Let's look at the enrollment. So where we add, basically a new guy comes in and he wants to enroll.
That would be under register.
Under register, right? Yeah. So
we still haven't. I don't think we've put any classes or courses in yet.
okay, but if I understand correctly, so when someone comes in and you click register, it needs to go to a blank form where you just fill out all the details.
Yep.
Right. Okay. So I don't know how the grocery CRUD could drop you right inside the editing form, but in here we have we can create a page with just a form on it. Register. Okay. So that's a form, and on this form, basically, we could define anything we want when it's being submitted. We can actually influence it by adding more fields. So you remember when we're using the set model, the second argument can specify which fields we want to get from that form, but we can actually add more fields. That field. Oops. From. Okay, so that's my field in there. Yeah, I could define the date fields like that.
Okay.
And as well, if form is being submitted, we could perform virtually anything. So create all sorts of database changes in the backend, create a student, and then do some calculations based on that. And it all can be done here.
Okay.
I don't know if it's really applicable in this situation, but we can do a multi-step forms as well, like a wizard, where you fill out things as you move from one page to another.
Yeah, that would be great.
Okay.
A wizard would be great.
Yes, and here I see some customized table. Yeah, right. And
Yep.
we can also do it at some point. In Agile Toolkit, you see that it has CRUDs, but it also has another view which is called lister, and it pretty much allows you to build a list with your custom template.
Okay.
And we could make list like that, define our own rules, and of course, more and more, we would go deeper into complexities of the SQL, of expressions, looking joins and some other things, to see how we could calculate stuff on the fly. I mean, that's really nice thing about Agile Toolkit, that we can actually calculate the monies and how much is our profit per company and so on and so on.
Okay. I know we talked briefly before the session, Romans, about, and this will probably be a couple episodes down the road, but in the reporting section, I know you had mentioned that there wasn't currently a print functionality, but will that be something that we might be able to touch on in a few episodes moving forward?
Sure, yeah, we could, basically what print is, all we need to do, if we want to print out tables, we just need to get rid of header and footer. And
Okay.
essentially, it's a different combination of those two. I'll show you how we can do it, how we can get rid of that, and wrap page inside some different. Bob is asking about the PDF. I'm not sure about the PDF generation. This is a pretty big area in web development. I don't know how things are right now, but 3 years ago, we were producing HTML and then using a custom application to generate the PDF. Is the PDF in here?
Yes, if you click the View Print Invoice, if you click on that for any of them, you'll be able to.
What are you using to generate the PDF?
It's TCPDF for as a helper or a library for CodeIgniter.
Okay, so if it works in CodeIgniter, we could probably make it work in.
I believe it's a generic PHP class.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay, what does it take as an input? Is it based on HTML?
I'm actually writing HTML and then creating a PDF from my generated HTML.
Okay, you know how you can grab a piece of HTML, but by get HTML, and you need to stuff it inside the converter in there, and that's it.
Yeah, I actually do it server side currently. I just that was the way I decided to do it. But yeah, we could definitely do it that way as well.
No, I meant the server side. So if you remember when we just started integrating with the code igniter, I was using the method get HTML, which is a server side,
Yeah.
and it gives us the HTML which was supposed to be on the screen. And if we feed that inside the class, it will give us the PDF back, and we'll just output the PDF instead.
Oh, that would be perfect. Yep.
That's the plan. Sure, yeah, we can definitely do it.
Great.
Okay. Also,
And actually, if you click on email invoice, do you have a notification system with built into Agile? Hit OK.
yeah, okay. Email set.
The notification here in the top right.
Yeah, we do have notification, so you probably saw that along the way.
I think I did see it actually.
It's called grow. So when you do something, okay, it's not showing up. Yeah, you saw at some point here.
Yeah, I did see it. Okay. I just wanted to make sure it was actually that what I was thinking
Yeah,
it was.
It might do it on certain. I think it does it when I delete things. Let me try to delete things. Yeah, there it is.
Okay, yep. Got it.
We also have the mailing class, which we also might touch in because I haven't covered it in the previous Hangout episodes, but there's a nice class for putting together emails and sending those out.
Great. Can it do TLS SMTP?
Not sure.
Because we usually like to use.
Yeah.
Okay, because we like to use Amazon SCS sometimes.
Yeah, it also supports that. Basically, again,
Okay.
it actually has extensions. Let me just Agile Toolkit. So I have that's how you use it. So you just create it as a class mail, and you specify which template you like to use. You set a couple of variables in there, and then you just say send. But it also supports different drivers. So you could say, I want that mail to be sent using the mail function. Or you could say, I want to send it through SES. And SES is an add-on for this tmail function.
Great, so I can just define my application secret and basically be good to go.
Yeah. Wonder what it is. Yeah, so that's a new version of tmail. It's been added a while back, so it can actually write mails into the database as well, and you can use combination of two. So you could say it would write into the database and use SES. The problem with SES is it's slow. It's slow to send.
Yeah, it is slow. A queue function might be better for that, but
it's a bit more complex. And
yeah, exactly.
This is our focus for the next releases of Agile Toolkit. So we working on the non-SQL support, in particular all those NoSQL databases. There's already support, but we are looking to improve that. So have things like a traversal, like you saw with has one, has many. I haven't touched the traversal yet, but
okay.
The way how traversal works. Let me go back inside the code here quickly. Is, let's say we're adding a student form model. That's our student model. I could do ref company. I just need to say company ID, and this will return me a model of the company which the student belongs to.
Great, that's really easy.
And the thing is, you can go both directions. For example, if you have a student, a company, you could do ref student, and you need to notice that this is using field, but this is using class. So that's how it distinguishes things. And this is a has many reference, so it still gives us the model student, but it will not be pointing at one individual record. Instead, it will define a scope. So if, for example, next line you do students delete all, it will only delete students of that particular company. Or you could do CRUD, set model students, and then you will be able to edit students of that particular company. And if you add a new one, it will automatically be associated with the company.
Oh wow, that's very nice.
Yeah, no, there is a lot of depth in things like that. So as we move forward, tables could be joined, and we'll look into that in later episodes. But first episode is basically just scratching the surface. There's a lot of things.
Yep.
So try to come up with the challenging tasks, and let's move ahead to more
Great
stuff next time.
Great.
Well, thanks, Romans. That was excellent.
Yep.
I think we covered a lot of good ground here today, and the next episode we'll have some better things to talk about as well.
Yeah. All right.